Raymond Santana, one of the Central Park Five, survived a nightmare no one should ever face. But even after rebuilding his life, his marriage to reality star Deelishis ended in a shocking way. Was it betrayal, clashing values, or something deeper? She shocked the public with her response, proving she knows her worth, and what she did after their split will leave you speechless. Stay tuned, because this story isn't just about a divorce. It's about independence, respect, and the lessons we all need to hear about love, power, and self-worth. Many of you probably remember Raymond Santana, one of the Central Park Five, who became widely known not just for the tragic circumstances surrounding his wrongful conviction in the infamous 1989 Central Park assault case, but also for his resilience and ability to rebuild his life after such a harrowing experience. The story of the Central Park Five captivated the nation for decades, highlighting deep issues of racial injustice, media bias, and flaws in the criminal justice system. Raymond Santana, along with the other four men, endured years of wrongful imprisonment, facing public scrutiny, stigma, and the immense challenge of reclaiming his life once exonerated. After finally being cleared of all charges, Santana received a substantial financial settlement, a form of restitution for the years of his life stolen by a system that failed him. Rather than simply retreating into privacy or obscurity, he took this opportunity to turn his experience into a platform, sharing his story widely, educating others, and using his newfound visibility to inspire conversations about justice, resilience, and the long-term impact of wrongful convictions. In the process, he built a public persona that allowed him to achieve financial stability, ultimately approaching millionaire status, and used this platform as a springboard for his personal and professional endeavors. During this pivotal period in his life, Raymond Santana met Deelishis, who at the time was gaining recognition for her appearances on early reality television shows, most notably Flavor of Love. Deelishis had a vibrant personality, a striking public image, and an ability to engage audiences that helped her stand out in the crowded reality TV landscape. Over time, she leveraged her fame into a significant social media presence, particularly on Instagram, where she cultivated a personal brand that combined lifestyle, fashion, and entertainment. Their meeting and eventual relationship represented a collision of two very public lives: Raymond, whose past was defined by an extraordinary story of injustice and perseverance, and Deelishis, whose career thrived on visibility, personality, and the modern celebrity ecosystem. Despite the differences in their backgrounds and the challenges inherent in high-profile relationships, the two married and began living together in Atlanta, seemingly forging a new chapter built on mutual interest and shared experiences. However, like many relationships, especially those under the public eye, their marriage faced challenges that ultimately proved insurmountable. Raymond Santana has been candid about the reasons for their split, noting that differences in values and expectations played a central role. He described himself as more traditional in his approach to relationships and family life, and while he never imposed strict rules on Deelishis, the differences in their worldviews gradually became a source of tension. Deelishis, for her part, did not naturally fit into the traditional mold Raymond envisioned, and this mismatch created friction that neither criticism nor compromise could fully resolve. The dynamic between them highlighted a common challenge in relationships. Personal growth and maturity often require adjustments, particularly when children are involved, but those adjustments must be mutual to create a harmonious family environment. Raymond noted that while he continued to evolve and adapt, he recognized that Deelishis could not comfortably align herself with the expectations placed upon her, which ultimately necessitated a difficult but honest conversation about the future of their marriage. When Deelishis admitted that she could not continue within the framework of Raymond's vision for their relationship, he responded with understanding rather than resentment, recognizing that their differing approaches to life, love, and tradition made it impossible for the marriage to succeed. This moment of acknowledgement underscores an important truth about relationships. Love, while powerful, is not always sufficient to overcome fundamental differences in values, priorities, or lifestyle. Santana's reflections on this chapter of his life reveal a level of emotional maturity and self-awareness, as he recognized that holding onto a relationship that was no longer viable would serve neither partner's best interests. Instead, he chose to approach the situation with empathy, allowing both himself and Deelishis the space to continue growing individually rather than forcing a partnership that was misaligned from the outset. Their story also serves as a broader lesson about the importance of self-awareness, respect for individual differences, and the need to align expectations in intimate partnerships. While their marriage did not endure, the experiences they shared remain a testament to the complexity of relationships, particularly when compounded by the pressures of public life and personal histories that carry significant weight. Raymond's journey from wrongful incarceration to public figure, philanthropist, and storyteller is extraordinary in its own right, but the chapter with Deelishis adds a deeply human dimension to his narrative, illustrating the universal challenges of love, compromise, and personal growth. Meanwhile, Deelishis' career trajectory and public persona emphasize that self-confidence, authenticity, and the pursuit of one's passions are equally critical, particularly in relationships where traditional expectations clash with modern realities. In the end, the story of Raymond Santana and Deelishis is not just about a marriage that ended, but about two individuals navigating complex personal and professional identities, negotiating the tension between tradition and independence, and ultimately recognizing that compatibility requires more than affection alone. Their experience highlights the importance of honesty, open communication, and the courage to step away when a partnership no longer serves both individuals' growth. By reflecting openly on these challenges, Raymond has not only shared a personal story of love and loss but also provided a meaningful example of emotional intelligence and self-awareness, reminding us all that the path to fulfillment, whether in love, career, or personal life, often involves making difficult decisions with integrity, respect, and compassion. Raymond Santana, one of the Central Park Five, recently spoke out in an interview about his divorce from Deelishis, revealing that he asked her to leave the house he had bought because he believed she was cheating. This came after attempts by Tasha K to interview him didn't pan out, as he apparently wanted to avoid certain publicity. According to Raymond, Deelishis allegedly had a relationship with a man living in the same neighborhood, even while their kids played nearby. Following his statements, Deelishis responded publicly, expressing her side with a mix of defiance and reflection. She noted that after 3 years divorced, one might expect either honesty or silence, yet she chose to clarify that she had indeed acted as she did, admitting to non-traditional behavior, while emphasizing she wished him peace and a bright future. The exchange sparked reactions online, with many commenting on the tension between their differing perspectives and the highly publicized nature of their breakup. The situation with Deelishis serves as a vivid and instructive example of a woman who truly knows her worth, demonstrating the power of self-respect and emotional intelligence in the context of modern relationships. When a woman recognizes her own value, she approaches life and love from a position of confidence and self-assurance, understanding that her identity and happiness are not contingent upon someone else's approval or presence. Such a woman does not beg, chase, or plead when someone decides to leave, nor does she feel compelled to speak negatively about them out of spite, resentment, or the need to defend herself publicly. This kind of self-possession and inner strength is precisely what Deelishis displayed in her public responses to Raymond Santana's ongoing commentary regarding their marriage and eventual divorce. Instead of reacting with anger, defensiveness, or attempts to reclaim control, she acknowledged what he said, accepted it for what it was, and decisively moved forward, articulating her perspective in a concise and dignified manner, stating, "I did everything he said I did. God bless." In doing so, she communicated not only acceptance of the past but also a clear message about her own agency and the boundaries she maintains in protecting her sense of self. Deelishis' stance illustrates a key principle about self-worth in relationships. Knowing one's value means refusing to diminish oneself to accommodate another person's insecurities, expectations, or emotional reactions. Her approach underscores that a woman's sense of self cannot, and should not, be compromised to appease someone else, even if that person was once a spouse or a partner with whom she shared children, financial responsibilities, or a household. She exemplified a level of maturity and self-awareness that allowed her to move forward without harboring bitterness or resentment, recognizing that while the past may have shaped certain experiences, it does not define her present or future. This approach is a testament to the idea that emotional freedom and personal growth are inseparable from self-respect. When a person knows their worth, they are empowered to make choices that align with their values, goals, and vision for life, regardless of external pressures or public scrutiny. In contrast, Raymond Santana's continued focus on the past, years after the divorce, offers a striking juxtaposition to Deelishis' approach. By revisiting the same topics repeatedly and dwelling on perceived grievances, he appears to illustrate a common human tendency to become fixated on unresolved emotions or lingering dissatisfaction. While it is understandable that individuals may need time to process and reflect upon the breakdown of a significant relationship, prolonged fixation can contribute to a cycle of bitterness, regret, and resentment, ultimately hindering personal growth and preventing one from fully embracing the present. In the context of their marriage, this pattern may have been one of the contributing factors to the challenges they faced, highlighting the importance of emotional closure and the willingness to let go when mutual alignment in values, priorities, and expectations cannot be achieved. The broader lesson from Deelishis' response and her approach to her post-divorce life is that self-worth is not merely an abstract concept. It has tangible implications for behavior, relationships, and long-term well-being. A woman who knows her worth moves on with dignity, making deliberate choices that honor her own needs and boundaries rather than attempting to elicit validation or approval from a former partner. She resists the temptation to re-engage in conflict or allow past conflicts to dictate her current behavior or emotional state. This ability to move forward is a hallmark of emotional intelligence, reflecting a deep understanding that relationships are reciprocal, that respect is earned through actions, and that one cannot compel another to appreciate or reciprocate their value. By setting clear boundaries, acknowledging past realities without becoming entangled in them, and focusing on her own growth and happiness, Deelishis modeled an approach to life that is both empowering and instructive for others navigating similar situations. Furthermore, Deelishis' response highlights a critical element of public perception and social influence in the age of social media. As a public figure with a substantial online presence, her words carry weight, not just for her personal narrative but also for the broader discourse around relationships, self-respect, and personal empowerment. By choosing to respond calmly and affirmatively rather than defensively or aggressively, she not only preserved her dignity but also offered a positive example for others who may face similar challenges. In a culture where public scrutiny and social comparison are constant pressures, maintaining composure, clarity, and self-respect becomes an act of resilience, reinforcing the importance of knowing one's worth even in the most visible and potentially judgmental environments. Ultimately, the situation between Deelishis and Raymond Santana serves as a compelling case study in the dynamics of self-worth, emotional intelligence, and the interplay between personal identity and romantic relationships. It demonstrates that when a woman knows her worth, she has the strength to disengage from conflict without resorting to manipulation, the clarity to maintain her dignity without compromising her values, and the foresight to prioritize her own growth and happiness over attempts to win approval or validation from someone else. In contrast, prolonged fixation on the past, as demonstrated by Santana, underscores the potential consequences of failing to fully process and release grievances, emphasizing the need for reflection, emotional closure, and the courage to move forward. Deelishis' example offers a powerful reminder that relationships are healthiest and most fulfilling when all parties are capable of recognizing and honoring their own worth, as well as the worth of their partners, and that emotional resilience, self-respect, and personal growth are fundamental components of a meaningful and empowered life. The conversation surrounding Deelishis offers a vivid illustration of the importance of knowing one's worth, particularly in a world that often underestimates or dismisses women based on their careers, public personas, or lifestyle choices. Despite being frequently underestimated by many in the entertainment industry, Deelishis has consistently displayed a remarkable level of self-awareness, confidence, and resilience. She understands her value, both as an individual and as someone who has worked hard to build her career, reputation, and personal brand. This self-assurance has allowed her to navigate challenges, criticism, and public scrutiny without compromising her identity or the standard she sets for herself. Her situation serves as a broader lesson on the significance of self-respect and the role it plays in maintaining healthy boundaries in relationships. Jamal Hill offered a particularly sharp observation about the dynamic between Deelishis and her ex-husband, Raymond Santana, noting that marrying a reality star and expecting her to behave in a traditional manner is unrealistic. Hill's point underscores a fundamental truth. When someone has cultivated a distinct lifestyle, a public presence, and responsibilities, such as children, they are unlikely to fundamentally change for the sake of conforming to someone else's expectations. Deelishis had long established herself as a reality TV personality and social media influencer, and her life choices, career, and persona were all integral parts of who she is. Expecting her to fit into a mold of traditional domesticity, essentially asking her to suppress her independence, creativity, or public visibility, was never realistic. This expectation created a mismatch between personal values and relationship assumptions, which can often become a source of tension and conflict in partnerships where one party seeks change while the other seeks authenticity. It's important to note that many women, particularly those in public-facing roles or who have built careers on visibility and performance, may present slightly different images in private or intimate relationships. This does not, however, erase their core identities, experiences, or the life they have created for themselves. In Deelishis' case, Raymond may have imagined a level of traditionalism or domestic conformity that was not aligned with her authentic self. When he realized that the dynamic did not match his expectations, tensions naturally arose. Rather than compromise her identity or attempt to become someone she was not, Deelishis stayed true to herself. She maintained her independence, her professional presence, her aesthetic choices, including cosmetic enhancements like BBLs, and her social media visibility, refusing to bend her values or aspirations to satisfy someone else's vision of what she should be. The broader lesson here extends far beyond any single relationship. It emphasizes that self-respect, authenticity, and personal boundaries are not negotiable, even in situations of love, marriage, or partnership. No one, particularly a woman who is confident in her value and the power she brings to the table, will submit to a partner if she perceives that her worth surpasses theirs or if their expectations clash with her authentic self. This lesson is essential in a society where assumptions, social norms, and external judgments often pressure individuals, especially women, to conform or diminish themselves. Deelishis' approach demonstrates that true empowerment comes from recognizing one's strengths, maintaining personal integrity, and refusing to allow others' perceptions, assumptions, or desires to dictate one's life choices. Ultimately, Deelishis' story is a reminder that authenticity and self-respect outweigh external approval or societal expectations. Knowing your worth means valuing yourself enough to insist on respect, to prioritize personal growth, and to honor your own choices, even when they challenge someone else's expectations or disrupt traditional narratives. Her example illustrates that maintaining one's sense of identity and power is not only possible but essential in creating a life and a relationship that align with personal values. It's a lesson in resilience, self-confidence, and the courage to remain unapologetically oneself, no matter the pressures or judgments that may arise from those around you. The honest truth is that if a man struggles to accept a woman's independence, popularity, or lifestyle, that conflict often stems from his own ego. Deelishis recognized her own worth and influence. She is, in many ways, more popular than Raymond, and she refused to diminish herself to fit his expectations. If someone wants a traditional, submissive partner, the reality is they should seek a woman whose priorities align with family, homemaking, and a conventional lifestyle. Trying to force someone like Deelishis, who thrives in the spotlight, embraces her body, and maintains her presence on social media, into a mold she never fit only leads to disappointment. When Raymond met her, he accepted her for who she was, but later expectations for change created friction. Ultimately, the lesson is that in relationships, you must respect the person you signed up for, rather than trying to remake them into someone else's ideal.